Hi guys, welcome to Chef Rose Cooking Camp. Today we're going to make something super fun. It's called a sourdough starter. So this is what makes really good bread. One of the things that makes bread rise is called yeast. Now you can buy yeast in little packets or in jars or in cakes or all kinds of different forms, but sometimes it's really fun to make our own from what happens naturally in the air around us. So we're going to start our sourdough starter with grapes. Now, grapes are really cool because on the skins of grapes, natural yeast loves to sit there. That's why adults, that's why wine tastes so good. For kids, that's why grapes are so yummy. And have you ever noticed that kind of, when you're done eating a grape, that you can taste sometimes? Sometimes that's the yeast, sometimes that's the skins. Okay, so what we're gonna do, if you have cheesecloth, that's really cool and it's going to help. And you're going to put this in a cheesecloth bag. If you don't, it's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to get these grapes and make sure your hands are really, really, really clean. And you're just going to kind of squish them a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. So you see they're still whole, but they're a little bit flat and squishy. Okay? So much fun. Then you're going to take 2.5 cups of flour. Now in the ideal world, it's going to be bread flour. But if all you have is all-purpose flour at home, it's okay. I'm not going to tell anybody. Then you're going to take 2 cups of water. Ideally, you want this to be room temperature water because if it gets too hot, it'll kill any of the yeast that's on the grapes. And we don't want that. We want them to be alive so we can make yummy bread out of it. Okay? And then you're just going to give it a nice stir. And don't worry too much about if you push the grapes a little, even better. Okay? You'll get some of that juice in there. And the yeast's favorite food in the entire world, kind of like mine, is sugar. It loves sugar. So, not only is it going to eat the yeast or the sugar from the grape, it's also going to eat the sugar flour, and we gave it flour and we gave it all kinds of good food right now. So give them a little push. Now once this is all mixed, you're going to get a lid and put it right on top. Now if you don't have a container with a lid, then you're going to want to put plastic wrap over it and put a rubber band around it because we don't want anything to fall in it that might kill the yeast when it's so delicate right now. For the first week, it's very sensitive, okay? So for about 2 or 3 days, we're just going to let it sit and we're not going to do anything to it. And then we're going to have to start feeding it just like a pet. But then we can use it to make yummy breads and pancakes and all kinds of fun things. So get your starter going and we'll be back in a little while to show you what to do in a few days. It's now been 3 days since we started our sourdough starter, and I've gone ahead and named mine Hermina. Okay? Sometimes it's just fun to name the things. You can see when I open this up, see how bubbly it is, and do you see how there's a little bit of liquid in here that's separating from the flour? That means Hermina is hungry. Okay? So it's time to feed her and put her into the spot that she will be from now on, okay? So first things first, we're going to find all those grapes and we're going to take them out. We're going to put them to the side. They're going to go in the trash because they've done their job and we don't need them anymore. Now I've gotten all the grapes out. And if you can't get them all out, don't worry too much about it. You can leave them in there and they'll still provide food for the yeast that's happening in there. So it's not the end of the world. You just want to make sure that when you actually use your starter that you try not to get any chunks of grapes into your bread because that might be a little bit weird. Okay? What I'm going to do is, if you notice, there's all kinds of liquid and stuff in here. So I'm going to try and pour off as much as I can without putting the grapes back in. We're going to put all that liquid and flour back into the starter if at all possible. Okay, you want to get as much of that as you can in there. Once you've got that done, now we have to give it some more food. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of flour and a little bit of water. Now you want to try and do about equal amounts of each of these, and you want to try and make sure that your water is room temperature if at all possible. So right now, with this amount, I think about 1/4 cup is enough of each. So I'm going to put my flour in there, I'm going to put my water in there, and I'm going to give it a really good stir. But Hermina doesn't like this house anymore. It's gotten a little dirty. She doesn't want to be in there, so we're going to put it in a brand new container that has a lid in it. Okay, after we get this all stirred up, we're going to give it back to a new container. Okay, now if you're planning on using this for something very stiff, you might need to add a little bit more flour to thicken it up. But as of right now, this guy is in pretty good shape. Okay, now the problem with Hermina is that she's a living thing. So what do living things need? A lot of food and water. Hermina is no different. So you need to make sure that you feed Hermina once a week if you keep her in the fridge, okay? And you want to make sure that you feed her about 12 hours before you use her, okay? So if you're going to make sourdough pancakes in the morning, then you can feed her the night before you go to bed, and then in the morning she'll be all ready to go. So all we're going to do is we're just going to pour Hermina right in there, and you can see there's a few chunks of flour in there. That's not the end of the world. Trust me, all those yeast will eat up all those lumps, and they'll be just fine. Okay, so today I came to check on Hermina, and she's in her new vessel. She's all happy in her new container, but the problem is she's not very happy today. If you can see, do you see how much liquid is sitting up on top and it's not mixed together? What this means is that she's hungry, but she's not thirsty. So what we need to do is we need to add some more flour, but instead of feeding her flour and water today we're just going to feed her some flour. Okay, if you ever get too much liquid in there, you can just feed her a little bit of flour, and that'll get her back going again. Then she'll be ready in about 12 hours to use one more time. Maybe in some pancakes, maybe in a bread, who knows, but use your imagination. Once you've got her on a regular schedule, once a week, you should be able to go back to flour and water every time, and then she'll be good to go and she'll take good care of you.